Wzorem do tworzenia perfekcyjnego człowieka i perfekcyjnie funkcjonującej planety
The symbols of the original pattern to create the ideal human and a perfectly functioning planet is represented by the sign of the Egyptian life key, the Ankhs. All forms of existence, as well as planets in space, arise with this pattern. The components of the pattern are represented by the colour chart. And what is the connection between the colour chart and the Ankh cross? One can imagine that the right arm of the key creates the material, which means the physical body of the human. This substance and its complete condition is built of 7 colours on the colour chart. The program, which is a soul, in its turn, is created from 5 different colours, so that the physical can be complete. This is the soul body, in which there are 5 ultra-minds, the anti-material chakras. These symbolize the left arm of the key.
Lewe ramię. Podtrzymujące ramię, obydwa te ramiona wagi są zerem, ale są zerem pełnym, jest to zero pełne życia.
The lower section, which supports the 2 arms, is the zero zone. It is also called spirit or monad, the univalent element. Here the colours that create the matter, as well as the antimatter, are united. Here all experiences are stored, those of the physical body in the positive arm, as well as those of the soul in the negative arm. These are the areas of energy that occur throughout incarnations. So one can say that the zero zone is pulsing with life. The 4th element, the ring of life keys, represents the consciousness, which harmonises the balance of the scales. The consciousness looks after its tools, that is, the physical body, the soul body and the mind body, and is responsible that none of these bodies destroys itself, independently from its life's experiences. Through this practice, the pattern of the life key stays complete with us. This role of consciousness was indispensable, especially on Earth, because here one constantly tries to change the meaning of the 12 colours. Man has constantly tried to manipulate the laws. This, nevertheless, was the price to pay for universalizing the body.
When the Earth descended into the 3rd dimension and the planetary logos, the soul of the Earth entered a new cycle of experience. Humans reached the zenith of their polarity consciousness. To this day, the cycle of opposites and the feeling of separation has prevailed. One could say that when Atlantis and its continents sank, the Earth left the 4th and 5th dimensions to enter the realm of the 3-dimensional material structure. With the fall in the 3rd dimension, the remaining human race lost consciousness of the oneness of all things. Polarity awareness took over, and instead of harmony, more and more opposites entered the consciousness and the actions of human beings. Even the elite priesthood was affected, and they dogmatically defended their truths. 2 major brotherhoods arose on Earth, both influenced by Shambhala and Agartha. Together they are called the Brotherhood of the Snake. Shambhala was the seat of the evocation of the Masters of Wisdom. Agartha was the seat of the invocation of the Masters of Wisdom. Together, they embodied the universal polarity of opposites. In the outer world, each brotherhood held the other one to be the Dark Brotherhood, the Black Magicians. The battle between the polarities of the brotherhoods took place over an incredibly long period and reached its peak in the Second World War. The 2 opposites, the Sun, Illuminati, and the Moon, Luminari, face each other and struggle for power. Yet neither of them can win. They can only overcome polarity. Humanity was influenced by these 2 contrasting areas of wisdom. All true governing bodies were visited by agents of these brotherhoods, and were partly initiated in the evolution plan of humankind. In ancient times, the Brotherhood of the Serpent divided into the Brotherhood of the Yellow Dragon and the Brotherhood of the Red Dragon. Together, they formed the Brotherhood of the Snake. Both undertook the spiritual education of the human race, the Yellow Dragon in the east and the Red Dragon in the west. We can still find the Order of the Yellow Caps and the Order of the Red Caps and their monasteries, which date from that time, scattered throughout Tibet. The spiritual warriors of Shambhala and Agartha foretold that at the end of the cycle of declines, when the final prophecy of the spiritual battle on earth would be fulfilled, they would return to reveal the truth and herald the passing of the Dark Age into the Golden Age. The survivors of Atlantis were the chosen seeds of the fifth root race from which humanity originated. Over many thousands of years, the maturing humankind went into a deep and amazing state of consciousness. The extraterrestrial carriers of light gave the surviving Atlantean priests instructions to start the Brotherhood of the Serpent. The third unknown power to influence the Brotherhoods was the eagle, symbolizing the Space Brotherhood. They inspired each brotherhood and their worldly kings to build empires. All wars were instrumental in introducing new historical eras and in creating the history of the human race. It was the old game: when two parties fight, the third party and its agenda remain hidden. Thus all world leaders were led by the third power in order to fulfill the world plan of creation. The light carriers from the Federation, also called the Guardians of God, introduced on Earth a secret education program in order to guide the worldly humans in their evolution plan towards completion.
They are akin to what we call in the biblical tradition the archangelic, or in the Eastern tradition the avatars or maha-avatars, those who bring the divine science or the Dharma, the teachings of light. It is from these higher levels that we will see the fulfillment of what is prophesied in the Old and New Testament with the coming of Melchizedek, Lord Melchizedek, one who initiated Abraham, as we are told in the book of Genesis chapter 14, and one of which the Christ figure in the New Testament book of Hebrews was connected with. They are members of the higher angelic brotherhoods of light who will intervene and change the world from a material-based culture under the control and dictatorship of those who control the financial, the political, and scientific power to one of true spiritual liberation. I believe this will take place in the beginnings of the 21st century, and in the next 20 years we will see rapid change and disintegration of the old rights and privileges, the orders that we have thought about historically as the mystical orders and brotherhoods assigned with Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. In the East, the great avatars will be seen as part of the Great White Brotherhood, or those who have the Christ appearance, those who have the appearance of Adam, the first parent, symbolically of the human race, so that we know our identity, we know our cosmic origin, we know our cosmic future. We must avoid contact with these lower forms of manipulation, control, and power.
At times, the Brotherhood sent messengers to Earth with secret missions. They sought out the spiritual heirs and the worldly leaders of the different epochs and gave them new instructions. The Count of Saint-Germain appeared across several centuries in Europe and finally disappeared during his journey through Asia. The decline of the human consciousness after Atlantis was part of God's deliberate plan in order to move the souls towards completion. Nothing could hinder it, because the web of the planet's basic energy and its electromagnetic radiation increasingly distorted the consciousness of people. Whenever the time was right, they brought new